Now, this story is about my holler that I live in, and we're going to call it Hawkins Holler because I live in Hawkins County. And a holler, is between two ridges. And there's all kinds of them over here in Hawkins County. But I didn't know that this holler had a legend attached to it. But I will tell you what happened before I tell you the legend. So we purchased this place 25 years ago, I guess, and didn't build our log home until about 14 years ago. And we built it by hand. And Danny, I designed it and he built it the way I wanted it. So I really appreciate that from him. But anyway, years before that, he built him a shed so that he could put some of his stuff in, like his tractor and stuff. And it's not a big shed. It's not a barn, it's just a shed. And one night he wanted to go coon hunting. He hadn't been in a little while. He said, sure, let's go coon hunting. And he said, I need to get my dog out and let him see if he'll tree a raccoon. And I said, well, okay, let's go out in the holler and go coon hunting a little while. And because around here there's not a whole lot more to do. Well, anyway, we came in the holler, and it's a dark holler. It was back then, especially because there wasn't anybody lived in this holler, except maybe on the other end. And so it was dark and wasn't a lot of activity going on. Actually, the only vehicle probably every day you would see go through this holler was the mail carrier. So anyway, we came hunting and we let the dog out, and it went on, was doing its thing. And when we followed along and we was coming up by the shed, Dan had his light so we could see where we was going. And he shined his light in that shed for some reason. And I promise, if we saw one cat, we saw 30 cats. And anyway, so we looked at each other, and we thought, well, that's weird where'd all those cats come from, because we never see cats around here. My neighbor did have a cat or two, but that was just one or two cats that lived on up the road. So I don't know where that many came from. But anyway, we went on hunting and never thought much more about it. And then a few years later, I think after we was already moved into the house, we heard legend of this holler. And what it was a cat woman. And let's say her name was Hawkins, because this holler was named after the woman and the family that lived in this holler. And that old woman, she loved cats, they said. I never did know her. Said she loved cats and had a bunch of them. And so the legend says, on a dark night, you can see an old woman walking up and down this holler with a bunch of cats following behind her. So I don't know how true that is, but that's the legend of Hawkins Holler. So you never know. Might come up in this holler some night and see a bunch of cats following an old lady. Hope you enjoy this story. I'll try to have you more.